And here's Matt Dunstone getting ready to ship off to Kelowna. Actually, you told me you're out west when we were setting this call up, but I didn't figure out where you were exactly out west. Are you at a secret training camp or what's going on?
No, Kamloops, BC is where I call home. So I'm about 2 hours north of Kelowna here.
That's a pretty spot, and lots of great golf courses out there. I know I've seen a few of them over the years, but that's good. All right, let's get on to this Montana's Brier. And what's your thought going in? What do you sense from your team?
Yeah, I think we're very excited about it. I think since you've seen kind of the new look of this team, we've had a fair bit of success over the last couple months, and just kind of more anticipation to kind of keep that going. I think we're just a very confident group, and I've just been eagerly waiting to get to this event. We haven't played in about 5 or 6 weeks now, so we're itching to get going.
Yeah, I think you guys are coming in as the top ranked team in world rankings, and you have had a good year, and you had that transition obviously where you made a lineup change. It seemed to go really smoothly. I don't know, not everybody obviously this year who's made, and there's been a ton of changes. It seems to be as smooth as you guys were. Am I reading that right? And if so, what do you think the key was?
It probably never hurts that the guy's brother was on our team to start with. And I think that just goes to show how many fans EJ had across our nation. How many people were pulling for him to get back into a situation. I think that's kind of why you saw it go as smooth as it did, if you want to say. But yeah, I mean, very excited to have the two of them back together. The Brush Bros. You could tell right away, they hadn't really missed a beat, and you can really see why they had the success they did over the better part of the last decade.
So let's look at your whole year overall. You had a bunch of wins, you had a bunch of good finishes. Um, how would you sort of sum it up? What would you say your year's been like? Where would you give yourself a mark?
Uh, I'd say B plus. I'd say. I mean, it's been a better year than last year for sure. Which last year was a fairly disappointing year. This year we're starting to make some deeper runs in the bigger events and going on runs where we're beating top teams in the world, which I think was something that we had been missing for the better half of 12 to 18 months or so. So we're going on stretches now where we're playing like the top team in the world. And that's something that this team needed just based on kind of the struggles we had last year.
What's it like, sort of not on necessarily on the ice, but off the ice when you're playing? Compare last year to this year. What it's like to sort of travel together, to go out and have dinner together when you're. What's the attitude and the sense like in the locker room? What does it feel like when you're winning as opposed to not doing what you think you should be doing?
Yeah, there's a lot more jokes, a lot more jokes, a lot more laughing. Dinner times are a lot more happier, obviously. Um, but just as a whole, we've played a little bit more, which I think has taken a lot of pressure off. Having to go and perform every single event. Last year I think we played the least amount of games out of almost everybody in the world. This year it's been a little bit of the opposite of that, and it's just taken a bit of the load off. The sort of pressure on a week to week basis of having to go and perform and go deep in every single event. Given we've kind of set up a schedule where we're playing a little bit more, we don't have to necessarily go out and have our best stuff every single week.
So this 5, 6 week break that you've been talking about right now, was that sort of planned to kind of give yourselves a chance to catch your breath? I mean, I know there's not a lot going on anyway, but was there a plan in this making?
Yeah, I mean, we were getting this break whether we liked it or not. But obviously got to experience it last year. Fine tuned it a little bit this year. We've set up shop at the Mississauga Golf and Country Club a couple times between our last event and the Brier here. So we've gotten together a handful of times. Just fine tune some stuff, and I think just the rest and the recovery. Our September through to December is our really busy time where you really don't have maybe a week at a time where you can just really hammer home practice and get the body and the mind right, and to have this 5 6 weeks to do exactly that. I know all of us have loved the 5 weeks off that we've had.
Did you watch the Scotties final? And if so, what was your impression of Rachel Holman's team? Because man, they looked pretty good.
Yeah, they're so much better than everybody else. Like Rachel's just on a different level as a skip. um, I mean, nobody really came close to even giving them a game. And I thought Rachel's team, like, they could play even better than what they did. So I mean, we're sending our best team to the Worlds. It's exciting. It's such a historic run that they're on. And it's when you look at the win loss records, it's hard to believe. It's I've lost more games in a weekend than they have in the last 2 years here. So it's very cool to watch. History being made in real time.
Can you learn from that? Can you learn from watching them play?
Oh, learn that they make winning look a lot easier than we do. So trying to sort that out, but you just see the confidence oozing in a group like that. Every time they go out there, they have that look on their face that it doesn't matter who it is. Like they just won't lose. They will themselves to win every single game, even when they don't have their best stuff. And Rachel just makes so many key important shots and big moments. And when skips are doing that, you're not gonna you're not gonna win many games.
One of the interesting things I thought about the Scotties last week was that the ice and the rocks weren't necessarily perfect, and we've seen so much perfect ice over the last few years where it really almost, I won't say it doesn't completely, but it doesn't worry you as much as it might, some of the players worry some of the players as much as it might in years past. Would you rather have ice that's a little bit trickier and rocks that are a little bit tougher to figure out than perfect playing conditions, or what would you like?
It kind of depends. If I'm really feeling it, really in the zone, I want perfect ice because then it's just set it and forget it and close your eyes and you curl 100%. But maybe when you're fighting it a little bit, the more tricky the ice is. The couple breaks you can get here or there. I mean, both are, I think, very unique and a lot of fun in their own ways. Bad ice can obviously get very frustrating, but I mean, it's to me we need more variance with ice conditions. I mean, you look, golf's a perfect example. U.S. Open, you got the 8 foot deep rough that they run there, and like you're supposed to go, you're not going to shoot very low there, and you look at other tournaments where you're shooting dash 22, right? So, I mean, curling I think needs to go more of that route, and just as a TV product as a whole, get different looks and start associating certain events with straighter ice conditions, more curl, slower, whatever it is. But the good ice is a lot more fun to play on, and but the difficult ice is more fun in a different way.
There's probably different versions of good ice as well, right? So, but let's talk about one of the other hot topics going into the Brier, which is the brooms. I know all 18 teams have agreed to play by the old rules, I guess you might call them. What's your take on this whole situation? Because man, it is a confusing for a lot of general people and fans out there, and B, it's tough for you guys to kind of try and, I don't know, figure out week to week what you're playing with.
Yeah, it's really sad and really disappointing. I would say all of it over the last couple months. The players have really been cornered. All players have been cornered into a situation none of us asked for, none of us wanted to be in. All of us have done testing with these new brooms. We've seen them. We don't agree with any of it. There's scenarios where these brooms are looking just as effective as the hair brooms and the brooms we banned back in 2016, and none of us want that. And that's why you're seeing these agreements that you are is just we don't think it's a good product. It's going to be really hard for any teams to miss with these brooms, and that's not the way the sport that should be played. And we all agree with that. Um, but yeah, I mean, overall, it's just been very disappointing. Being put into situations mid-season that none of us asked for, none of us wanted. So I'm hoping, equipment development's part of sport that's going to happen. This won't be the last time we run into this either. I just hope protocols from here on out just this becomes more of an off-season discussion where approvals are happening in the off-season, or if they're approved mid-season, we're not seeing them on the ice until the next season, just so we've all had time in real time to test and figure out these brooms. These came to us November, December. Nobody knew what to do with them, and nobody had time to actually get to the bottom of to what they do. And now that we've had these 5 weeks to figure it out, I mean, we really don't like what we see.
The Brier might be in the Scotties, I guess, might be a little easier to try and get a group uh, group together and everybody agree. What do you think the World Championships will be like? Because it's sort of a diverse group and you don't know everybody.
For sure. I mean, we've kind of taken the attitude that we've been it's been hinted to us that nothing's going to change for the foreseeable future for the rest of this season anyway. We're taking everything on an event to an event basis. Luckily there's a fair bit of time between the Brier and the Worlds for whoever that team is going to be to sort out what brooms we're going to be using and actually train and practice with them just so you know how they're going to react. But everything's being taken at an event by event basis right now. That's all we can really do. And I think all the players are fairly unified when it comes to what we believe is right and what we want to use. But I mean, at the end of the day, these things are unfortunately legal, and there's nothing stopping anybody from using them. And when there's Olympic qualifying and world qualifying on the line, then all bets are off in certain scenarios.
Yeah. All right. Briar coming up. You've gone as far as you can go without winning it before in the past. What would it mean for you to get over that finish line? What would it mean for you to host that tankard on the Sunday evening?
Yeah, you think about it every day. It's a moment I've run through my mind in my head how it's gonna play out, how it's gonna feel, how it's gonna look, 100 times. You know, just love to get back into that scenario again. I mean, like you said, been close so many times already. Just been biting at every Brad's and every Kevin's heel for every Brendan's heel for the last handful of years. Just can't get through to the bone. So just again, this is the most confident I've ever felt going into a Brier. And just got to put ourselves in that scenario again. And one game showdown, anything can happen.
Well, we wish you the best of luck, continued success with the team, and we'll be watching you in Kelowna.
Thanks, Bob.